Okay. Let's talk about my former employer and all them, like the other people uh, that helped Lynn. Now, this is verified by my former employer himself sending me an email when me and Robert Sale were going at it. Like I confided in him, thinking that he was, because I've been nothing but loyal, I had a couple of, more than one episode where I got drunk, but that wasn't the problem. They really loved my work. They all adopted whatever I did as their own, and like Jake if you go to his resume, I got a picture of it back then, and he's just taking credit, but that's okay because they paid me. I was their employee. So shit that I come up with while I'm your employee is yours. But so that was cool. More than one time, and the royalty program, which is what I came up with. That was the most complicated thing, and it was badass, and they loved it. Before that, it was like I built a custom. They had a program called Land Boss, which was their program, and then I wrote an integration between that and QuickBooks, and it was it was so like they just stopped using their shit and started using mine. Like mine was the program, so they didn't really care if I had gotten drunk before. Who cares? Like Ulysses S. Grant and Abe Lincoln and McClellan. Somebody, or maybe it was not McClellan. Well, no, it was McClellan. He had the case of the slows. But one of the generals said, Ulysses S. Grant, he's a drunk. So Abe Lincoln says, he fights. Get him whatever, find out what kind of whiskey he wants and get him a case of it. So it was like that. Like they're willing to overlook the fact that I might have gotten drunk outside of working hours. They don't care. Like these guys are, you wouldn't believe the number of cocktail waitresses that have come from nowhere, from obscurity, to have drive around brand new Escalades. That was just there was a separate category that I had on the chart of accounts for that. So what I'm saying is these guys are not they were not they were not that offended by me getting drunk. They were probably, first night I got hammered with Sam. It was fun. That was back when I was Sam's boy. Well, I wasn't his boy. That was the problem, actually. But he put out the red carpet for me. It was fun. That was fun. That was a fun time in my life, actually. Working at that big shiny building in Fort Worth. Sam, a badass apartment. Sam just goes and shells out $5,000, gets me a washer and dryer. Now I had been arrested, I think, in the interim. This was during the interview process. I went into the interview, in fact, with a black eye from, I had been sucker punched in the bar at the Sheraton by a couple of roughnecks. But it was fun, though. But they didn't care because I did good in the interview. So, what becomes a recurring pattern is that, you know, after I would see, I don't drink anymore, but back then, like, I would get hammered, and it would be like, you know, I'd be living like a Boy Scout, you know, got it together and everything, and then go get hammered. So, but I didn't interfere with my work. I mean, because I still produced these badass programs at the same time that I was doing that. But getting back to that, like, what I would do is get drunk, and then I'd feel horrible. Like, I'd feel so embarrassed and ashamed and all that. So I would come back like hat in hand, you know, not literally, but figuratively. Anyway, they figured out that they could just take advantage, like, with me doing free work. Like, they can get me to do it, and I'll do it for nothing because I'll feel like I owe you from last time, even though, I mean, y'all have made fortunes off the shit I've already made. I mean, I can't imagine how many sports cars and college educations have been bought with my software. Like, and they just, you know, I got a fraction, not even. But where was I on that? I'll check out here for a sec while I figure out what I was talking about. Okay, so what I was getting at with talking about those guys is, like, they orchestrated the whole thing. I can see it, you know, looking at the data from the past, you know, but at the time I'm not seeing it. But that's also their Achilles heel, is that they were operating under the assumption that I wouldn't do certain types of analysis, like time series analysis, really is what it boils down to. You can trace the frequency of transactions to talking to me. Like, when I'm talking to them, they slow down. I mean, it's detectable. You can see it on a graph, and that's, you know, I'm going to refer to this graph. It's my favorite. It's the text messages and email overlaid with boom slaying transactions. I love it. You know, that's kind of nerdy to say that, but whatever. Anyway, getting back to those other guys. So they knew, they got Lynn to act as their proxy in order to gain my access to my stuff. And they were successful through Lynn. Lynn is the one that made it happen. Okay, so back in 2015, me and Lynn were business partners is what I thought. We were doing, you know, he'd just gotten his law license, and I was thinking we could do something like LegalZoom.com is what I was thinking. Whatever. He's a lawyer, so we could capitalize. I could come up with some idea that we could. Anyway, this turned out to be the idea that we came up with. And man, you ought to see Lynn's. Well, you're going to. I call it the big break. It happened on November 21st, 2015. Lynn is like giddy, telling me that if I can build this program, I mean, he says it's just like this other deal that we just did. with the same guys that we're talking about. And they made a pile of money. And I mean, we're talking over 100 million in profit, just in profit, not sales, profit. It was 400 million in sales. Lynn said it was just like that if I could build this program. Okay, so I build the program. Okay, I build the program. Then once I get it done, Lynn all of a sudden, he talks to, me and Lynn call them the Bearded Brothers. That means Jeff and Dusty Browning. They were my co-workers. They were the guys that were so excited about my program because, well, there was a little rivalry between me and Jeff, but Dusty was so appreciative that I had solved his problem for him because it fell upon him. He was the land manager, like the top technical guy. Couldn't solve that problem, and I did, and so he was very happy with me. So anyway, he and his brother are called the Bearded Brothers because they grew beards at one time, and picked up the name and it stuck. They don't know, whatever. So when we say the Bearded Brothers, anyway, so there's that, and then there's Jake also that I was just talking about. Jake is he was the operations dude. He was the guy that Sam was the titular head, but his duties were, I don't know, he was the boss. I mean, he was the top dude. His job was soliciting investors. Well, I mean, and Sid, he was Sid's partner. He gave an equity interest to Sid in exchange for Sid coming up with the money for the lease bonuses. And that's what you need is the money. Okay, getting back to my program, with the mailing list that you, or not necessarily mailing. I mean, if it's a hot property, you just find out who it is and get in touch with them however it is. But after you sign a deal with these people that are on that list, they typically get 1/8, 12.5%. Well, that was a separate play, so I'm sure it's different here. Plus, it's practically guaranteed since it's all horizontal drilling. I mean, once they find they know where it's at, and so it's not a crapshoot anymore when you drill a hole like it used to be. It's 100% practically. I mean, you're going to get it yet. So that changes the whole thing, by the way. So anyway, in that instance, then the owner can demand a higher percentage because they don't have that risk premium in there. They can demand, well, whatever. I mean, these guys know better than I do. I'm not going to pretend that I know. I mean, that's what they do. I was the developer. Okay. So, and I'm going to take a break here, man. Anyway, I'll check out. Holla, I'll holla, will holla.